Okay, now this packet we are just going to do as notes, okay, as notes. You need to solve these equations. You need to find out what number the x equals. But since we have this second power right there, there are two answers for x. So I'm going to put here on the side x equals, x equals. Anytime we have a second power, that means there's two answers that x could be. What we need to do is factor the problem. Okay, it's called factoring. We need to take that problem and pull it apart. Now let me get some notes here to understand what we're doing. Okay, now you had a problem like this before, 2x times 3x plus 4. I gave you problems like that. You do the rainbows, you got 2x times 3x and 2x times 4. So 1 and 1, it's going to be 6x to the second. And then that's going to be 28x, or no, 8x. Now what I need to do to solve the problem is get from here back to here. Now you're like, well, that doesn't sound fun. Okay, it's not to begin with, but the more practice you get, the better you're going to be at it. Okay, we're getting from here back to here. And that relates to that GCF thing. Okay, for now, when there's two answers, we need to make sure the equation is equal to 0. It is, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is make what's called a GCF box, okay? And what I do is I make a space times a parentheses equals 0, okay? Then I underline both of these, and I need to come up with a GCF. Okay? So I don't have a negative. X is connected to both. The X is always going to be your smallest, okay, out of those two. And then we got 2 and 8. So I'm going to take 2 and make a factor list for 2. So 2 divided by 1 is 2. So I divided by 1, and I got 2. Well, after 1 comes 2, which I already have, so that completes the list, okay? So let's try the 2. Okay, so 2 divided by 2 is 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 2 works. So now that I have the GCF, what do I do with it? What I'm going to do with 2x is put it out here. Okay? Then, under these lines, I'm going to put 2x, okay? So what I'm going to do now is divide. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Now, we also have x to the second divided by x. Now, let me tell you what that's going to be every time. X second divided by x. So x times x over x. It's just x. So x to the second over x equals x every time. So when I take x to the second divided by x, that's x plus, and then 8 divided by 2 is 4, and then the x over the x just cancels out, okay? Now, what I've done is I've factored it, okay? This is factor number 1, this is factor number 2. Now I can solve. 2 times x equals 0, or 1x plus 4 equals 0. Divide by 2, I get 0. Minus 4, 1x equals negative 4. So negative 4 is your other answer. Okay, my next problem. Again, I know there's two answers that we're looking for because there's this second power right there. Okay? If it would be to the third power, there'd be 3, but we're not going to get to that for a while, fortunately. Okay, so I make this box, space, times parentheses equals 0. Okay, GCF. Do I have a negative in front? No, I don't. I do have x, though. Okay, you always have an x second and an x on this assignment, so you want to use x. Okay, so we take 6. There's my smaller number. So 6 divided by 1 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3, so 2, 3. And then I've already got 3 at that point, so I'm done, because 3 would come next. Okay, now let's see if we can do this. So 6 divided by 6 is 1, but does 15 divide by 6? No. 6 is not the GCF, then 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 15 divided by 3 is 5. Okay, so 3 works. Okay, that's the winner. So I transfer the 3x here. Okay, and then I go divide by 3x because the opposite. It's like, remember, I'm getting back here, so it's like the opposite of multiplying. So it'd be dividing. So that's going to be 2, and then that's always x. Now that's a negative 15. So negative 15 divided by 3. If you get a negative division, please write minus 5. That's going to help you later on. If you get a negative on that second quotient, you want to put minus, and then those cancel. Okay, so that's factor 1, and that's factor 2. Now we can solve. So 3x equals 0. 2x minus 5 equals 0. Divide by 3, I get 0. So 2 multiplied by x equals 5, and then I must divide by 5. Okay. So 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. Okay, next problem. GCF, that guy. Okay, so we have our 0. If you don't have a 0, I'm going to show you what to do later. Okay. Okay, so we don't have a negative. We have x on both. 3 and 9, so I take 3. 3 divided by 1 is 3. 3 divided by 2 is a decimal, and then I already got 3. Okay, let's see if that works. Okay, so 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Okay, 3 does work, so 3x. So 3x, I transfer that to here, and then I divide by 3x. Okay, so that's going to be 1. And that's always x, and then we take negative 9 divided by 3. Again, if I got a negative, I'm going to write minus 3, okay? And then the x's cancel. So that's factor 1, and that's factor 2, okay? So 3 times x equals 0. 1x minus 3 equals 0. So I divide by 3, and I get 0. And then I plus 3 plus 3, 1x equals 3, so 3. Okay, next problem, a little bit tougher one, bigger numbers here. Again, there's the 2, so there's 2 answers. So GCF, I have a negative in the front, sure do. I have x on both, sure do. Let's check 16, okay? Because that's your smaller number, okay? 16 and 80, but I go with 16. It's easier to create a factor list with a smaller number because it won't have as many. Well, we got 1 and 16, okay? 16 divided by 2 is 8. 16 divided by 3 is a decimal, so 3 is not a factor. 16 divided by 4 is 4, so 4, 4, it's twins. So when I get twins, I'm done with the list as well, okay? So I guess let's try 16. So 16 divided by 16 is 1. 80 divided by 16 is 5. 16 works, okay? So negative 16x. So that's going to be 1, and then x. 80 divided by negative 16 is negative 5, so that's going to be minus 5. and that cancels, okay? So that's factor 1, that's factor 2, and I'm ready to solve. So negative 16x could equal 0, or the 1x minus 5 could equal 0. So I just divide here by negative 16, and I get 0. You ever notice how 0 is the first answer? And that's not by coincidence, okay? So 1x equals 5. 5 is the other answer, okay? Okay, I'm going to go to this page. I'm going to skip over those, go here. Okay. Again, same idea. 2 answers. So I make my GCF box. I'm going to give myself a little bit of room here. So the 3 things I check for. Do I have a negative? No. Do I have x on both? Yep. So 5 and 35. So 1 and 5. Now the funny thing is 5 divided by 2 is a decimal. 5 divided by 3 is a decimal. And then 4 decimal. And then I already got 5. I run into a number I already have. Okay. So let's check out 5. Okay. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. Let's see if 30 divides by 5. Does it's 6, okay? So 5x, okay? So 5x, so I put 5x, okay? So 5 divided by 5 is 1. That's always x. Positive 30 divided by 5 is 6, so plus 6. Use your calculator. Those go away, okay? So that's factor 1, that's factor 2, okay? So 5 times x equals 0, 1x plus 6 equals 0. Divide by 5, I get 0. Minus 6, 1x equals negative 6, so negative 6. And there's your answers. Okay, negative 10x squared plus 35x. Okay, GCF. We do have a negative in front. You got x on both, x, okay? Now, again, I should set up my GCF box. So 10 is the smallest, 1 and 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5, so 2, 5. 10 divided by 3 is a decimal. Let's see if 10 divided by 4, nope. And then I've already got 5, okay? Let's check 10. 10 divided by 10, that's 1. 35 divided by 10, there you go. Okay. Nope, that's a decimal. Decimal, you can't use 10, sorry. There you go. 5, okay. 10 divided by 5 and 35 divided by 5. Okay, they both work, so 5, negative 5x, okay. So I transfer negative 5x over here and here. So negative 10 divided by negative 5 is 2. That's always x. 35 divided by negative 5 is negative 7. So minus 7. Okay. Okay. That's factor 1. That's factor 2. So negative 5x equals 0. 2x minus 7 equals 0. So I divide by negative 5, I get 0 for my first answer. Plus 7, 2x equals 7. And then I divide by 2. So 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. Okay, last two. And then I'm going to stop the video. You don't do the rest of the packet. I'll have the rest of the packet covered in the next video. Okay, this packet here is just for oral guided practice along with me. Okay, do I have a negative? No. Do I have x? Yep, I got that. Okay, so x now 6. 6 divided by 1 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Okay. Because you see 6 divided by 2, 2, 3. And then I already got 3, so we're good. Let's try 6. 18 divides by 6, that's 3. 6 divided by 6 is 1. No decimals. If we don't get any decimals, that means it's a GCF. So I transfer that over. And then I divide 18 by 6, that's 3. And that's x plus 1, and that cancels. Okay, so that's factor 1, that's factor 2. Okay, so 6x equals 0, 3x plus 1 equals 0. Divide by 6, I get 0. Take 1 away. 3x equals negative 1, then I divide by 3. Now here's what's going to happen. You're going to divide negative 1 by 3. That's a decimal that goes on forever, so please just write negative 1 over 3. Keep it as a fraction, 1 out of 3. It's like you got 3 questions on a test, you only get 1 right. That's what a fraction is. Okay, and then our last one, it's kind of a tough one here. Okay, 2 answers. So I'm going to look for a GCF. Is the go-to. Do we have a negative in front? Sure. Okay. 32 and 24. We got to pick 24. 24 has quite a few factors. Well, 1 in itself. 24 divided by 2 is 12. Okay, so 2, 12. 24 divided by 3 is 8, so 3, 8. Wow, that's a lot. 24 divided by 4 is 6, so 4, 6, it's like it never stops. 24 divided by 5, I got a decimal, 4.8, and then after 5 comes 6, which I've already got, so I'm finally done with the list. Now let's try 24. Try to divide both those by 24, no decimals. 32 divided by 20, right away decimal, forget that. Let's try 12. That's your next biggest number. Decimal. Next biggest number is 8. See if that works. 32 divided by 8 is 4. Now I got to also do 24 divided by 8. That works. Both of them work. So negative 8, and there'd also be the x. Okay. So I transfer that down here. That is plus negative. So that's 4x. Negative 24 divided by negative 8 is positive 3, so plus 3. Okay? So that's factor 1, that's factor 2. So negative 8 multiplied by x equals 0. 4 multiplied by x plus 3 equals 0. So I divide by negative 8, and I get 0. And then I minus 3, 4x equals negative 3. Divide by 4. Negative 3 divided by 4 is negative 0.75. Okay, that's really all I have to say. You're not assigned the rest of the packet. I'll cover the rest of it tomorrow.